I'm Luca Giliberti, contributing writer for Gold Derby, and I'm joined today by Nicole Venables, the hair department head of The Morning Show. And Nicole, you know what really stands out to me about The Morning Show is that it's really an ever-evolving series because it takes place in our real time and it covers these real-life topics and events. So before we dive into season three, I would just be very curious to hear from you how much fun it is to work on a show that is constantly in flux, constantly throwing these characters into new environments, into new situations, and I assume constantly demanding that you are flexible. So what has that experience been like?
Yes, I mean, mostly staying in the moment, staying on top of reading scripts, really taking in what's happening from the actors to the environments they're put in. I have an amazing crew. I love my hair team. They are incredible and flexible and really roll with the task at hand. And every director, every writers, the talent, everyone is a 10. So everyone's sort of collaborating and supporting and really, owning what they bring to the show. So it's the greatest job I've ever had.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And one of these, events that the show obviously covers, one of the real life phenomena, or honestly, horrors is probably the better word, is the pandemic. And season three picks up in 2022, which is 2 years after the onset of the pandemic, and when things slowly started getting back to normal. And for many people, that meant having to fix themselves up because they had to be out and about again after 2 years of maybe not doing it that much. So on a broader note, how much would you say the pandemic played a role in coming up with some of the looks for the characters in season three?
I know that is a very interesting question. And I mean, the first thing, honestly, that comes to my mind is the crew. I mean, not even the show, the crew. We were still in our masks. We were still testing. We were still like, that was a whole other challenge and finessing for in the trailers, on set, the different avenues. As we came back, that doesn't stand out as strong for me in the character's hair, let's say. We were just sort of trying to find it. I mean, some people maybe had longer hair, grown facial hair, maybe there was some sort of leftovers from that. But the first thing you said is like everyone was like getting up to speed, with their look. So I felt like we were elevating. We were like trying to capture the essence of modern contemporary hair, especially the on-air newsworthy or the more polished professional looks in the office with the men and the women. And so, I think we were just more focused on the office than the off-camera look, and then the undone at home to the uber chic event looks that we had with the Valentino. And so we were all over the place, but I don't know that we translated it through hair in a way that was like coming out of the pandemic with a certain look. Like no one had outgrown. We went like the next level. We were ready to come out, I think. If that answers your question.
No, absolutely. It completely answers it. And that makes complete sense. And you kind of already talked about, this elevated look. And that kind of is a perfect segue because I do want to talk about some of the individual characters. And I know that Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon had their own individual hairstylists, but I hope we can still talk about their characters in some detail here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So Janine Thompson, a long-term colleague of mine. So that was like a personal joy that she was styling Miss Aniston. And for Alex's look, I mean, they wanted, or together collaborative from their team, like leading edge, modern contemporary. And I feel like there were three looks that really stood out for Alex. She had her like stunning, iconic powerhouse persona, if you will. And then her Alex Unfiltered look, which was like softer, lighter, kind of bringing out her more feminine powerhouse persona.
Mm-hmm.
And then her off-camera looks were like a softer, sexier, with more of her own personal input, like her real look. We wanted that to shine through. And I think they did an amazing job. I was like blown away.
Yes.
And I always think when I look back, it's like I loved all of the transitions with Alex's hair. It's like we went from the boardroom to the bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And then we let's see, it was like boardroom, bedroom, and then the chic Valentino look, and then her like on the go pony. And you know, she had a lot going on, and I thought it was amazing. They used very minimal hair pieces, and I mean, Jen Aniston has the greatest hair, so they really get to translate that, you know. And I also want to contribute that Chris McMillan, her personal real hairstylist, has, you know, a lot of influence as well. He's so talented. So the greatest thing with the show, it is a collaborative affair. You know, even though I'm the department head, like everyone's doing an amazing job, and we all love each other. So it really translates. Mm-hmm. And then we had like Lana VG with Bradley's hair,
mm-hmm.
and she wanted to raise the bar with Bradley's hair, you know, both on camera and off camera, and sort of mirroring Bradley's promotion. I mean, now she has, you know, the evening news. And I think that really translated. You know, she wanted to show that her character had grown, and, you know, to have that strong professional look. And I think it came through with like that confidence vibe and appearance. And I thought it was, you know, beautiful. I thought the work was extremely delivered. But I just wanted to say my favorite Bradley look, I think it's in episode 5, where she's having the complete meltdown with her brother. And I mean, I was like, wow, they are coming unraveled, undone, everything's distressed. And I was like, that is the perfect emotional hair. I mean, I was like obsessed with how that all came down perfectly, seamlessly.
Yeah, and let's actually stay on Bradley, because you kind of talked about, you know, she's at the top of her game in season 3, right? She's anchoring UVA's nightly news. This is kind of the job she's always wanted to do, you know, and this is after she went on this emotional roller coaster in season 2. And then professionally, like I said, she's at the top of her game. But then in season 3, it's not like she isn't on an emotional roller coaster. There's a lot happening in her life. And so were there any subtle tweaks or changes that you made to her hairstyle or to her look as, you know, her life kind of spirals out of control again in season 3, because her brother comes back into the fold, and she has to make this big decision whether to turn herself and her brother in. So how did all of that kind of influence how her look evolves throughout the season?
Oh, yes. And again, Lana VG styles her hair. So it's like they were on it as we, you know, as I just walked through a lot of it. I felt like almost like each episode, each scene, they were, you know, specifically designing that hair to match, and they did flawless. I mean, you know, she goes from space with a beautiful bun to like undone I mean, they were all over the place, like flawless. And I really commend Lana and the collaboration probably with Reese and her team and us. And again, it just came together in an amazing way. But I do believe that I saw the transitions with her hair and the emotion and the excitement, you know, and even her in the bedroom, you know, it's like,
it's true.
Every hairstyle really had a story.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned the 5th episode before already, and you know, we're kind of burying the lead here, because the 5th episode flashes back to 2020 and to early 2021, and you know, depicts, you know, at least part of the January 6th insurrection, where Bradley discovers that her brother Hal is among the rioters. And that will obviously go down, the January 6th insurrection, as one of the most horrific incidents in American history. So what was that experience like, recreating that, especially given the number of background actors I assume you were working with here?
Oh, yes. It was unreal. I mean, it was sort of terrifying, you know, when you're on a set that's really busy and they're trying to take care of business, you know, you have to stay out of the way, but you're trying to fix the hair, and then you know, Hal's having literally a scuff, you know, a physical beef. And then, you know, we have our personal feelings from our living proof world that we had experienced. So all of us were pretty shook, you know, but we stayed focused. But I thought they did an amazing job all the way around, even from the background.
Yes. I mean, especially the background, right? Because you never know what people are doing when they're watching. I'm sure you have people who are like zooming in, looking at all these small details, and the background actors. You know, I've spoken to a lot of hairstylists in the past few years, and they always talk about the background actors and how they're just as important as, you know, the actors that are in the foreground. So I always like
Absolutely,
seeing those.
they support, you know, the
Exactly.
scenes, the events. It's that I love that you said that, because it comes true for me too on every job. And for the most part, they're always dedicated. They always bring it. You know, sometimes we're shooting early. They have to kind of pre-style their hair, and they have game on. And I have noticed that in the last few years and really come to respect that in the bigger picture of supporting the project. So I'm glad you said that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, they're like excited to be there. They're excited to be working on something. They're excited to be contributing to something. And, you know, like you said, they're really supporting it. It wouldn't work without them. So,
At
especially
all.
something
I mean,
like
it
this.
really translates, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
especially when you see the finished product.
It,
So that's awesome.
yeah, of course. And to make a bit of a turn here, but I do want to also talk about Stella Back, played by Greta Lee. Yeah, because I think she has kind of one of the biggest transformations and one of the biggest hair transformations entering season 3. You know, it's obviously shorter hair. I found it much more slick. And would you say that those changes that were made to her, you know, her style in general and her hair in particular, are kind of to show that she's, you know, climbing the corporate ladder, or what was kind of the inspiration about behind her new look this season?
Yes, like yes to all of it. I want to preface this before I get into what I wanted to say. Chris McMillan did the first cut to help set the look, as he often does, which again, we're a huge collaborative. And I know they were very excited. And I was like, I love this like short croppy chop. It's the most amazing. It's sophisticated. It's smart. She's so high fashion. I thought it just was fluid. And I was obsessed with her short choppy crop. Yes, we maintained it throughout the season. It was the biggest change I feel for hair, and she owned it. I mean, Greta is amazing, but Stella rocked it.
Absolutely.
And owned it, and I'm so proud of her, and I loved it.
Yeah, and it's also like paired with these incredible outfits. Like I said, I talked to Sophie DeRocco, the costume designer, and she's just the way she just enters. I mean, she already stood out in season 2, but in season 3, she stands out in a completely different way. I had so many people talking about those outfits. It's just, you know, they're so
and her
different.
shoes,
Her shoes,
everything. I mean,
everything.
I'm obsessed.
Me too. That makes 2.
And she owns it. Like it's her,
Yes.
you know what I mean? That's not like, no, it is solid through and through. And I felt that short, choppy crop, like it was the best vibe of the season for me, in a way that we had a huge hair transition.
Yeah, I can imagine. She really exudes confidence.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I think
cutting edge, kind of avant-garde. It was awesome. And she loved it too personally. So it's always amazing when, you know, their 2 worlds collide, their personal, their character. And, you know, because a lot of times actors are given a hairdo or wig that they do not like, and they do not own it. And then that's kind of awkward and translates on film. So I was obsessed with her hair.
Yeah, me too. And, you know, speaking of someone who also kind of exudes confidence, I think that would also apply to Chris Hunter, played by Nicole Beharie. And she joined the show in season 3 as a new TMS co-host. And she really brings a different energy to the show, I think, both in terms of personality and in terms of her style. And she obviously comes from a sports background. She was an athlete. So how much did that inform not just her work look, but her looks in general in season 3?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I love Nicole Bahari. I loved her character, Chris. She's gorgeous. I mean, I want to say it's cute as a button, but she's more sophisticated than that. But she is a little powerhouse. So it's like, I loved her look and I loved her wardrobe as well, you know, to complement, and I'm leading up to the hair. But I just thought, you know, we wanted her to have a natural texture and we wanted it to be versatile. So and she really owned that, but altogether she was like this new, fresh package. And, you know, her hair, I mean, every hairstyle is discussed, designed, and approved. So it's like there was a lot of feedback, there was a lot of input. And again, we really wanted her to have a natural texture. I mean, we talked about maybe like lots of you know, we didn't exactly know, but you said her sporty background, you know, so what we landed on, I thought was amazing, and that, you know, we showed natural texture. You know, she had some different waves, but was versatile, professional. It was able to go on the go sporty and a little undone at home and off camera. And then there's my favorite, which is the Valentino.
Yes.
Sweet blonde. And I felt like she owned that. And that was really fun and a little bit of a surprise. You know, again, designed, approved, and collaborative. So I thought she was extra special this year.
Yeah, and I want to end on the Valentino party in just a second. But before that, I also want to ask about one specific look because, you know, in episode 3, she interviews Sybil after, you know, Sybil makes this racist remark about her in an email that leaks amid this, you know, catastrophe that happens at the beginning of the season. And it's obviously a very big moment for her. And, you know, her hairstyle isn't necessarily that different, right? She has like a loose bun, I believe. But what were some of the conversations about, you know, the look that everyone wanted her to have here? Because I do feel like in many ways she is making a statement in this scene, in this interview. So what were those conversations?
And again, like saying her transitions were kind of flawless. And we wanted there to be, I want to say like a soft, vulnerable, yet powerful look. That's where we're going. And it sort of evolved into the sort of loosely tied back chignon. But at the end, I believe that was the correct choice.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was perfect for Chris. And at first I didn't see the vulnerability as much, but looking back on that episode, I was like, because sometimes when you're in it, it's like a fiction show. Like it's just happening and you don't have hindsight. But I really do love that choice. And, you know, the director of that episode was very invested in making sure that she had the right look, because that was a powerful interview. And yes, and so that's how we kind of, you know, came up with that. You know, if we would have done it too slick, that would have been too severe. So I think we found the balance in bringing it lower and more of a chignon. And I saw the power and the magic, and she wore it well.
Yeah, and I absolutely did as well. And like I said, yeah, of course. And like I said, I do want to end on the Valentino party. You've kind of already talked about Chris's look in particular. But this is obviously a large set piece, you know, a lot of things that are being designed here, a lot of looks that have to be designed. Again, you're dealing with a lot of background actors. And I know that this is really something that everyone involved is very proud of. So on a final note, can you just talk about in general what that process was like, you know, putting all of this together and creating all these many looks? Where do you even begin?
I know. Well, as you mentioned Sophie prior, she is a goddess, and Beth is also a goddess of costume. And again, they collaborate and they're very impeccable with how they design, and they are inclusive and collaborative, and they often ask for what they want, and they do give us creative, you know, approval, like permission is the word I'm looking for. They give us creative permission to sort of take their information, the costumes, take it all in and sort of come up with some designs, and then we discuss. So we had so much fun. I mean, forget the main cast, because you said like the background. I mean, we had live models that were outrageous and amazing. Then we had, some servers and background people, and we got to use tons of wigs and have so much fun. Often it doesn't completely translate into the episode because there's so much going on. But we had so much fun from BG models. Then we get into our main characters, and we have Alex. I mean, her hair was flawless and amazing. And that was like so much fun, from her costumes to everything. And then we have handsome Paul, who, has his chic look, his uber professional chic look, and onto Chris's character. And many in between, the episodes cutting back and forth. But that was so much fun and creative. I mean, the pictures I have on my phone are, didn't always translate on, in the episode, but so much fun. And I loved every moment of that episode. Yeah, and again, one more thing is like, we need a team of like 15 to actually pull that off. And everyone, from the models to Valentino to everyone was very supportive and came for their wig fittings and did everything. So I love the morning show. Everyone's collaborative, and it just gets better and better and better. And it's the funnest job I've ever had. So I've said that before, but I really enjoy it, and I love my team. And couldn't do it without everyone. It's like the perfect puzzle. Yeah. And that's what a wonderful note for us to end on, because we're unfortunately out of time. But thank you so much, Nicole, for walking me through your work in season 3. And thank you so much for your time today. Thank you. You were wonderful. Thank you so much.